Okay. Pacific Grove Unified School District, in partnership with the community and with a focus on equity, will challenge every student by providing a quality instructional program in a positive, safe, and stimulating environment. The district will meet the diverse needs of all students by ensuring exceptional learning opportunities to acquire and apply the knowledge and skills that develop the insight and character necessary for a productive and rewarding life. So calling to order this meeting for the Pacific Grove Unified School District Board of Education, regular meeting, Thursday, November 17th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Trustee Rivera,
Present.
trustee Brian Swanson,
Present.
trustee Carolyn Swanson,
Present.
Superintendent Ross,
Here.
assistant superintendent Schwartz.
Present.
Thank you.
Moving on to the adoption of the agenda. Any changes?
No, Mr. President, we are change free this evening for the agenda.
Last time we had to designate a clerk officially for the,
Yes, so we'll need to do that again to this evening. So we need to vote a clerk in for the meeting. So it'll be the same as before. So just need to nominate, a second, and a vote.
okay,
I'll nominate Brian.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? So motion passes 3-0. So if there's no questions or adoption of the agenda, we haven't done that.
Do we need public comment on that at all? or-
We do.
Public comment? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the
I'll second.
all in,
You're gonna move or second?
Oh, I thought you said you,
move to approve the agenda.
all right, I'll second. I'm sorry, I thought I heard you say that you were, okay, yes. Anyway, yes, I'm second or first.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? So it passes, motion passes 3-0. Moving on to close, we're going to be convening to a closed session where we will discuss negotiations with both PGTA and CSCA. And then we also have conference with legal counsel regarding pending litigation and public employee discipline dismissal release complaint. Any public comment on closed session topics? Anyone online? Okay, we are going to adjourn to closed session. No action was taken. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On to written communications, very slim as far as my inbox. I got an email from our student trustee that I would like to read during board member comments. But before that, do either of the other two trustees like to report out on their written communications?
I've got nothing else to add from my side.
Yeah, neither do I.
Okay. Moving on to board member comments. Briefly, I'll just state, attended the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day on Monday. It was fantastic. A lot of goodies and swag handed out, plus a reading of a book written by Ruby Bridges by one of our employees that actually worked with her. And it was wonderful. A little slideshow that went on. It was fantastic. I hope that's something that is continued. And it sounds like it's going to be. I would at this point also like to read the email sent from our student trustee. Hello all, I will not be able to attend the board meeting on Thursday. I have a basketball game at North Salinas and will not come home until late that night. Here's a brief overview of my student rep report. For sports, there's boys basketball game at North Salinas, girls basketball game starting the week of Thanksgiving, a wrestling meet in Half Moon Bay on December 3rd. There's a girls soccer game at Catalina on December 2nd. And there's a boys soccer game starting Monday after Thanksgiving. School-wide, we are having a food drive as a class competition until December 7th through the Monterey County Food Bank. We will also be having Ruby Bridges Day every November 14th, making it an annual event at PGHS. All the best and go Breakers. Ray Avila. Brian?
I'll make it quick. I wanted to thank just various members of the community who came out this past weekend for the half marathon and volunteered. I had a small group, smaller than in years past, but still nice to have people there to volunteer for that. And we were in an effort to raise money for the SPCA. It was really great just to connect with members of the community. And what it really brought to mind, I know one of the things that I think a lot about, and I know it's in some ways sort of the third rail of Pacific Grove politics when we talk about reconfiguration of the elementary schools, but how important it is to talk to everybody about that and get their viewpoints, and because they're unique things and comments that come up that don't always occur to me. So that was really valuable just to be able to do that too and connect with those folks. And I think at some point we really do need to have a town hall about that, or a couple, to talk about what we do and what that might look like if we do that. So there's that. And then I did pop in today just briefly at the middle school, and I gotta say it was just so, because it was so much, but seeing you and everybody engaging with those students too, it's really remarkable when you're there, because it's not like you're just sitting back in the shadows and watching what's happening. You guys are in there with the students, and the students are in there with you, and the exchanges that I saw happening were really cool to see. And so I know I have not been out there a lot. I'm going to try to be out there more. But today was really great and valuable, and I'm so happy that I did it. And I felt so welcome the second that I stepped foot on there too. It was really nice. Thank you.
Trustee Carolyn?
Thank you, Frank. Yeah, I've got 3 comments tonight. So first of all, I was able to attend the preview of the movie Upstanders at the middle school. Thank you, Principal Roach, for spending your evening doing that. That's a long day for you. That was an excellent movie. I was also able to see the movie Angst, which is kind of it's kind of like part of this series, different topic. Angst is about anxiety. Upstanders is about healthy relationships and anti-bullying. So thank you for that. There was about 10 parents there, and I just, please keep doing that. Please. Thank you. And then second, today I was honored to be able to attend a field trip that Forest Grove took down to the Pacific Grove Library, which, if you haven't been in a while, has been remodeled and feels like a set from a movie. It's so beautiful down there, just incredible. And the staff was excited to welcome us. And I just want to give just immense thanks to Christina Luciano, Sylvia Ma, Yurdi Durantes, the staff that went with the kids. They had an incredible system of keeping all the kids safe and together. All of the children wore the same exact t-shirt. So there was a t-shirt that was pre-made that actually said Forest Grove Field Trip on it. I don't know how they coordinated, made sure all the sizes fit. I mean, just that alone, like the forethought was incredible. All of the students wore neon green laminated bracelets made by Christina Luciano, I'm guessing, and her team, that had the student's first name only, the teacher's information, the teacher's cell phone number. I mean, like, if there was a child who deviated from the crowd, they were going to be found. So it was, and of course, no child was deviating from the crowd. It was incredible. So that was wonderful to go on that and see the level of safety and forethought put into it. Lastly, I was able to go on a field trip to Monterey County's Aviation High School. If anyone knows that we have an aviation high school, Josh Jordan, you know. I saw a picture of you in a Herald article cutting the red ribbon for that. So I was able to go on an MCOE field trip. This is a high school that's available to any student in Monterey County for free. Correct me if I say anything incorrectly. For free, and students can begin there as a freshman, and if they take the appropriate steps, they can graduate with a pilot's license. So can you imagine graduating from high school ready to go as a pilot? They even talked about a student who was a recent graduate who is now a pilot for FedEx flying freight internationally and nationally. Really cool program. So just want to put that out there if anyone is listening who has students who might have an aviation interest. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I didn't know about that. That's amazing. The library is also beautiful. I've been down there, and I did run in the 3K, and the fact with my 5-year-old, and the fact that he was saying, "Come on, Daddy, keep up," makes me sad. On to superintendent report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, I'm going to defer to the agenda this evening. We've had a short week, but I guess I do want to also acknowledge and thank the principals for our Ruby Bridges walk to school. Was a wonderful event. And yes, as someone commented, we are going to look to try to centralize that and make it even better next time around, as we have an opportunity to plan a little bit more and see what kind of activities we can make at age appropriate levels. So it'd be great.
Wonderful. On to PGUSD staff comments on non-agenda items.
Good evening, members of the board. Buck Rogeman, the Director of Curriculum and Special Projects. Just wanted to give a big shout out to I was going to call it a Diversity Matters Club, but that was what we called it at Forest Grove. Yes, the Diversify Our Narrative Club at the high school. They came to Forest Grove at 1 o'clock, and they did a beautiful class about the Esselen Nation and its roots here on the Central Coast. And it was a great educational experience for our 4th grade students to find out a little bit more about the first inhabitants of this incredible area that we live in. The students had a presentation that was packed with information, and it was amazing to see how they held the 4th graders' attention for the entire 30 minutes. They even gave them a quiz at the end, and in a choral response, the 4th graders got a 10 out of 10. So it was really a wonderful example of how our high school students can already be instructors for our younger students. And it was humbling for me to get the chance to be able to observe that. So I wanted to thank our Diversify Our Narrative Club from the high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Al-Ghazi, is there anyone online? Okay, we will move on to individuals desiring to address the board. Public comments on any item of interest to the public that is within the board's jurisdiction will be heard. The board will also take public comment on each specific action item prior to the board action on each item. The board will allow a reasonable amount of time for public comment on each agenda item, not to exceed 3 minutes per speaker and no more than 20 minutes per agenda item, pursuant to Board Policy 9323. Speakers will be called sequentially until there is no speaker coming forward on the agenda item or the amount of time allocated for the agenda item has elapsed, whichever comes first. This meeting of the Board of Education is a business meeting of the board conducted in public. Please note that the Brown Act limits the board's ability to respond to the public comment. The board may choose to direct items to the administration for action or place an item on a future agenda. No public comment. Okay, moving right along to consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and or may have been discussed at a previous board meeting. There is no discussion of these items prior to the board vote unless a member of the board requests specific items be discussed and/or removed from the consent agenda. Each item on the consent agenda approved by the Board of Trustees shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended.
I do not have any questions about consent.
Nothing here either.
Nope. Any public comment?
I will then move to approve consent as presented.
I'll second.
Trustee Brian moved, trustee Carolyn seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes 3-0. On to action discussion. And our first item is the district update on response to COVID-19.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, we had short weeks, so nothing really new at this point. The only thing that I was requested to add by Nurse Powley was simply to note that as we're coming into the winter time, there are winter respiratory viruses hitting out there, especially our youngsters. The recommendation coming from both the Monterey County Health Department as well as the CDC, stay warm, get vaccinated, stay home when you're sick, not to get others sick, wash hands frequently, cover when coughing, wear a mask if you're ill. Nothing too different than what we've been doing over the last 2.5, 3 years. But just to know those numbers are up a bit, and so to be mindful and to try to stay healthy. And also that we have an upcoming free flu and COVID-19 vaccination clinics. Everyone's 6 months and older, and those are coming up November 17, which is now, and then November 19, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the County of Monterey Health Department on Natividad in Salinas. And so I know that Nurse Powell is also working on some more local ones for the December time. And as soon as I get that information, I will let you know.
Thank you. Could you remind us about the COVID-19, the tests for our students?
Yes, we will be having a test kit available for all families. Each box has 2 in it for our families to be distributed prior to going home for the winter break. And that way when return after the 2 weeks, have an opportunity to test your students to make sure they're healthy when they return.
Wonderful. Thank you. Trustee Carolyn?
Ralph, can you speak a little bit about the process for distributing those? I'm hoping that they're just going out in everyone's backpack with a little note on them, or do families have to request them?
No, we'll make sure every student gets one. And
Okay.
I think the process is a little different each site just because of the way the sites are set up. But we'll make sure to get messages out to families well ahead of time to let them know how to make sure those get in the hands of their families. But we'll make sure that gets out.
Okay.
I don't want to misspeak until I have a chance.
Yeah, 1 box for every student, just
Yeah.
push them out, push them out.
Yep,
Okay,
that's
thank you.
that's the plan.
Thank you.
Trustee Brian?
Are those going home with staff too?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
They're available for staff.
Okay,
Staff
all
will-
right. Well, I would urge everyone to do that. And as you said too, it's like, yeah, please wash your hands, be safe, sneeze into your elbow, all that stuff. It's like I have a couple of family members just this last week, but both my parents, 88 and 89 years old, tested positive, and my sister who was hanging around with them, they're fine. They're vaccinated, but get every vaccination that you can and then some, because I'm sure that it saved their lives being vaccinated, especially being that old. So, but yeah, and if you can get anybody who's listening, bring a kit home with you and just be careful because it's still out there and it's still very real.
Yeah, let's not get too comfortable and let down our guards. Public comment? Okay, moving on to item B.
Actually, I'm so sorry, Frank. I
Oh.
see a hand up.
Yes, I do.
Tavares.
Tina Tavares.
Ms. Tavares.
Hi. I don't know if this is the right time to comment about this, but I just wanted to kind of voice a little bit of a concern I have over the California Healthy Kids survey that has been taken this week at Forest Grove. I did go out of my way to try and see the survey before I signed the permission slip for my son, and I was basically what I encountered was the parent survey, which I assume the questions were fairly similar for the students. And based off of that, I decided not to let my child take the survey. And when he came home today, I kind of got an uncomfortable view of what went on in the classroom. I think that the questions were a little bit inappropriate for 10-year-old students. There were lots of things that referenced drug use and words like getting high. And there were questions asked about what marijuana is based off of questions within the survey. So I feel like maybe a little more transparency with the permission slip, because I'm pretty sure that most parents did not know that those specific questions were on there when they signed that permission slip. So maybe in the future, a printed copy of what the students will see exactly with the permission slip would give a better understanding of what they're taking before we sign that and let our kids see those questions.
Thank you, Mr. Iris. Wonderful comment.
Thank you.
Any others?
Just one thing, because I know it's not an agendized item anyway, but can we make a mental note to bring that up at the end when we talk about that? I wouldn't mind taking a look at that. At that survey at the end here, but I know we can't really dive deep into it, but I wouldn't mind just bringing that up at the end of the meeting to throw that on something we can talk about in the future too.
Cool. Good idea. Okay, now moving on to item B, expenditure and program plan for the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
President.
John.
So today we're bringing forward a programming plan and expenditure plan for the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, known as ELOP. Prior to the 22-23 fiscal year, there was an allocation back in 21-22, which was not brought to the board. It sat as a carryover item and is noted on the cover sheet, $145,398. And that carryover amount is the reason for the current expenditure plan that we're bringing forward with not all of the current information in it. And I'll have Director Rogerman speak to the actually programming and the enrichment programs in the summer that we're offering. But essentially, this program is for TK through 6 students. We have to serve our unduplicated pupil population. So that's free and reduced, EL, and our foster youth, as well as some of the targeted youth population. With this program, it is a 30-day non-school day during intersection period program that we have to offer of no less than 9 hours a day. And I will defer to Director Rogerman on the programming component, and then he can come back to me for the fiscal component.
Absolutely. Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Jorn. When we looked at the programming that we were going to offer, the portion where we have to offer, a 9-hour before and after school coverage was built into the program that we have, functioning now. And so it makes a lot of sense for us to be able to use, some of the funding from this grant to help offset the deficit that we're running. The biggest caveat there is that the children that are on free and reduced lunch, or that are part of the unduplicated pupil population, will now get to attend the BA SRP program free of charge. So that is a wonderful consequence of us being able to use this funding to offset some of the deficit that we have in our BA SRP program. When we looked at establishing a summer, extended learning opportunities program, we thought it would be the most prudent to try to partner with a program that was already in place. And when we looked at the city of Pacific Grove and their summer camp program, it currently is an 8-hour program that runs from 8 until 4 in the afternoon. So we met with the coordinator of that program from PG, who also happens to be a PGUSD parent. Her name is Katie Clark. And she said that it's very possible that the city can expand the program for an additional hour so that we can use this grant funding in order to be able to send our unduplicated pupil population to this program free of charge. Basically have the grant funding that the district is getting pay for our unduplicated pupil population to attend this program. And once we have served all of those families that have an interest in being served in the PG City program, then we would have the opportunity, if the funding was still available, for us to possibly fund all of our children that wanted to attend the program. In the past, there have been a couple of dozen students on average that attend the city camp program. It's a wonderful program that my daughter has attended from time to time. And one of the great aspects of it is that there's a field trip every day to one of the city facilities. It might be a park. It might be one of our school campuses. It might be the pool that's down at Lovers Point. But they have different outings planned for our students, which we think is going to offer a great way for the students to spend the day. Part of the workforce for the city are, is made up of our older high school students, and then also some of the students that attend the colleges in the area. So it's an opportunity for our students to have great role models of older students, yet not a 55-year-old guy. Right. So that they have some role models that are available to them of students who are still in school that are a little bit older, in addition to the adult staff that works in the city program. One of the things that we would look at doing too is using some of that funding to provide a meal for our students. And we would work with Director Stephanie Lip to, hammer out the details of the meals that we might be able to provide for this program. But that seemed like the most natural partnership that we could do in order to offer this 30+ days of 9 hours of programming for our students during an intersession period. The other program that came to mind for us was the WAVE program, simply because so many families of ours participate in that program. We're not as far along in our talks with the WAVE program as we are with the city. So there would still have to be some details that had to be hammered out there. Both of the programs, in order for us to be able to use the grant funding, would be following the same hiring practices that are required by public school institutions in the state. And so I think that gives a pretty good summary of where we are with our programming for this. We have the BA SRP program, which is currently up and running, that meets the time requirement, so we can use that funding immediately for that program. And then once we start to use that funding for the program, that is going to open up the opportunity for our unduplicated pupil populations to attend the programs free of charge. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Assistant Superintendent Jorn, who can talk a little bit about the funding.
Director Rogerman, thank you. So as Director Rogerman mentioned, the first item we have on the expenditure plan, the 145,398, that's the carryover, as I mentioned at the beginning, from 21-22. And the board's approval of that expenditure is crucial because there's a timeline associated with that, legally encumbered by June of 2023. The rest of this plan is a 2-year plan, as you'll see. And as Director Rogerman mentioned, we're in the process of negotiating with multiple additional entities to offer summer enrichment programs. So items 2 and 3 are yet to be determined. And just like a number of the other restricted resources that are brought forward to the board, this will be brought back once we finalize those contracts with the other summer enrichment programs labeled as A and B, the 56,000 and the 20,000. The 22,000 we projected for 175 pupil, donation of 125 per pupil. And then item number 5, the 40,000 is for the summer camp program, as Director Rogerman covered. And then we have finally the summer school support, and that is to support the Forest Grove summer intervention program. And then as you'll see here, we have fiscal year 23-24 also on the docket for approval tonight. But as I mentioned, this entire program, just like the music arts discretionary block grant, where we had an unencumbered number of dollars remaining, will be brought back to the board for final approval once it's solidified. And then one final note, each and every one of these programs we plan to partner with. The district will develop a memorandum of understanding with each entity, defining the relationships, hiring practices, and so forth as we pursue them. So with that, I will open it for any questions.
Trustee Caroline?
Thank you, Frank. I do have a couple of questions. Just housekeeping wise, Josh, what percentage of our district is the UPP?
Yeah, the UPP population in Pacific Grove is between 18 and 19%.
Okay. And then schedule wise, which I realize some of these questions you may not have the details of, because I did hear what you said, that the details are going to be more forthcoming. But timing wise, scheduling, I'm thinking of, for example, a lot of our families use the YMCA program because it's the entire summer. And so if this is just 30 days, can we just make sure that we do outreach and engagement with them and make sure that this isn't kind of hindering their, like maybe they'll lose a spot if they can only do 30 days. Maybe this doesn't benefit who we're hoping benefits. Just kind of keep that in mind, that's because the Y has been kind of kept open versus city of PG that was closed for COVID reasons. So a lot of our families who wouldn't even normally be going to the Y have been going to the Y in Monterey.
Okay.
I have a contact there. If you'd like it, I can send
That
it.
would be great. And there's the possibility that if partnering with the Y for some of our families was an opportunity, that's an example of other summer, enrichment funding. And just for the public's knowledge too, is that we plan to contract with the city for the entire summer.
Okay.
So I believe it's an 8-week program. They use the first week of summer to train their staff, and then they would cover the remaining weeks of summer leading up to the school year.
Okay. And so maybe our district could fill that 1 week where the kids aren't in or something like that. You'll
Possibly.
figure out the details, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
With the goal, of course, being to support the families as much as possible, because these are folks who are working and they don't get a week off that they can
Right.
watch their kids and have that flexibility. So another thing, when you're working out the details, transportation, I didn't see it mentioned too much. I'm sure it's on your mind. So I wanted to bring it up just because I didn't.
Yeah,
see it in the
it's
document.
been noted. Trustee Swanson and Director Ogren and I did have those discussions. And again, we'll develop that further with our forthcoming plan. Once
Perfect.
we develop, like I said, items A and B, other summer enrichment programs.
Thank you. I have 2 other ones. I just wanted to say thank you for making sure that the staff who are manning or womaning or personing these programs are held to those same hiring standards, same parameters that we have going on right now in our district, fingerprinting, DOJ, all that. Thank you for thinking of that. And the inclusion factor. So I didn't see anything really in here about kids who qualify for special education besides that they are kind of part of that UPP population.
Right.
So I just wanted to say that out loud, like, let's see, because there are folks who have kids who qualify for special ed, but they're not participating in extended school year summer school. So if there could be some just thought for those folks, that would be great. And those are my comments.
Excellent.
Thank
Thank
you.
Just real quick, first of all, I hope this one-time money comes back again and again. That's I know that's what we're always hoping for, but it's like as we move forward through this, it's great that we have it. I hope we continue to get it. I want to commend you guys too, though, for immediately thinking about how you take this and integrate it with some of the other things that are already happening within the city of Pacific Grove. I think that's, as I look to the future, that's one thing I hope that we can do more and more, is integrate what's happening within the district with what's happening in the city overall and all the other programs that we have. So thank you for doing that.
Noted. Thank you.
Yeah, it's one. So any hints on if this will be a new renewable grant?
Right. So right now it's a 2-year through, as mentioned, 23, 24. So this year and next. And I was actually at the CASBO CBO symposium today, and there is discussion about the renewal of this for another 2 years. In fact, it was mentioned that the ELOP program will be extended. So more to come on that.
Fantastic. And I love reading about how part of the funds would go to help expand the city's program, because it is very well known, very popular, and it fails because I often have to find alternative daycare. And I'm also very excited that the WAVE program is being looked at as part of someone who could receive some of this. We all know and love that program that takes care of our students. So thank you for doing that as well. That's all I have. Any public comments? Dr. Hazen.
Thank you so much for letting me speak. And that is such an awesome presentation. I wanted to echo Trustee Swanson's comments or Brian Swanson's comments on the excitement of engaging with the city more broadly. I think that's a really amazing resource. And I wanted to just bring up the idea of the PG Museum as well. I think getting our kids more plugged into the various resources we have here would be great, because I know the PG Museum runs a summer camp, albeit currently not full day. I do wonder if there'd be some scope there to maybe have a bit of a show and tell of our amazing city resources. Thank you.
Mrs. Chavez.
I just wanted to, Erica Chavez, Robert John, but I'm more concerned about the adolescents, is that currently the WAVE program offers a great opportunity for our middle and high school students to earn community service. And I want to make sure that that stays as part of the program if possible, because adding the safety measures that are super important as well, I wouldn't want to cut out that opportunity to further build those community connections. They volunteers, like the teens run the program. So I don't know if currently they don't need to be fingerprinted and stuff as student volunteers. So I wouldn't want them to lose out on that opportunity to have to go through DOJ fingerprinting and things.
I see. Well, and I don't want to speak for the district, but since we do allow volunteers who are fingerprinted as parents, maybe, I don't know, I guess that's a detail we'll have to figure out.
Any other public comments? Nope. Okay, is this an item we have to approve? Yeah, okay. Motion to approve.
I'll second.
So motion to approve by Dr. Rivera, seconded by Trustee Carolyn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Any abstaining? I'm sorry, I didn't hear your aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. That's why I was going down the list. I'm sorry.
What's going on over there?
Yeah. So 3-0 motion passes. My apologies. On to action discussion item C, board calendar and future meetings. Dr. Porras.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one notation, and so this for the board's consideration, knowing that we're going to have a change of the board at the next meeting. Staff is recommending that we eliminate the January 5th board meeting, which is like right after we come back from the break, for a couple of reasons. Since January 2nd is a holiday, it doesn't give us enough time to make edits if necessary coming back from the break when the board packet, because it was assembled prior to the break. The other piece is that we are anticipating a discussion in the December meeting coming up here regarding how the board would like to discuss and handle the CSBA board policy updates. As you know, the policy program that we're now in, CSB automatically sends us batches of updated policies based pretty much on, like you saw, pretty much based on ed code and legal findings, so on and so forth. They come in batches. Usually we're discovering it looks like it's about on quarters. So we already have 2 batches of changes kind of waiting in the docket. And I know that the board would like to discuss further how to accept those changes, whether to go over them, to do a special meeting to go over the batch of changes that have come, or just do as we did a global change on a consent. Not sure how you'd like to go, but depending on that meeting on the 15th, if the board would like to proceed with taking the batches in terms of one global change, that's going to affect how we get that agenda on the 5th set up or not. So we're just going to need some time based on that discussion. Also, January 5th is typically a fairly light agenda coming right out of the break. We'd like the board to consider that option for us so that we can deal with what's going to happen on the 15th of December. So you could either, we'd ask you make that decision either tonight on the calendar or on December 15. Again, with the understanding that the makeup of the board is going to shift a little bit. So others who, there will be new board members who will be part of that decision and discussion, but I'll leave it up to you in terms of the timing. So.
I think that should be made by those who will be affected by it. That's just my view, but moving on to the rest of the board, trustee Brian.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I'd support the notion, but given the fact that there will be 3 new people that it'll impact, I'd like to hold off until the next meeting and discuss it with them.
Trustee Caroline?
You mean hold off on canceling the January 5th meeting?
Yes.
Okay, I agree. Let's wait.
All right, then there's no action recommended on this calendar, so the board can certainly make changes now if you'd like. Otherwise, we're good.
Any changes?
None for me.
Public comment? Okay, moving on. We are now on information discussion item A, Measure D, project update to include a brief update of maintenance, operations, and transportation. Dr.
evening.
Anderson.
How you doing? All right, so tonight I'm going to give a presentation on Measure D thus far, 4.5 months into my career here at PGUSD and enjoying every minute of it. Also, at the tail end of the meeting, I will discuss a little bit of our quarterly briefing on MO&T as well. So here we go. Right. So when I came here, I had to come up with an approach. How was I going to handle Measure D being new to the projects and coming in with already almost 2 years of Measure D already underway? So I decided to look to the future. I wanted to finish the projects that had already begun. I wanted to unencumber the available funds, if any. I wanted to target items that were incomplete, and then make all the urgent items a priority. And then reprioritize the order of project execution. And this is driven by my construction background. So forgive me for that. It's just the way I'm wired. And then economic considerations. We're in a very different time right now than we've been in the last 10 years or so. And so those unfortunately have a major effect on the way that we will execute a lot of these projects. So we're talking about Series A Year 1. These are all the projects that were either already completed when I got here or were partially underway, even though they were supposed to be Year 1. And so what I have after each project you'll see up there is the percentage of completion. So if we look to the middle school, the exterior painting and dry rot at the middle school did not happen. The upgrades to the PAC stage for production improvements, which is lighting, sound, curtains, stage, the surface of the stage, none of that happened. At the high school, however, the foods classroom, the culinary classroom is 100% complete. The intercom and bell systems are 100% complete. The K&L wing dry rot and termite damage and roof is complete. The pool heater was actually complete before Measure D was underway. You can see the vignette underneath there, the stadium and track are absolutely completely complete, and they are beautiful. So lots went on at the high school. Forest Grove, the intercom and bell system is complete. In our facilities department, we have, and the vignette under that is actually our van, which arrived a couple of weeks ago. And shocking that was ordered almost 2 years ago and took it that long to get here. So that speaks to our supply chain issues. So we're about 33% with our vehicles. The replacement of the grounds mowers, we have 1 replaced, so we have 1 to go. Warehouse shop equipment, we're about 75% of the way there. And then all sites, there was work done for HVAC, COVID replacement and modifications. That 100% of the money is expended and things are mostly complete. I'll put it that way. We could talk more about that in the future. Emergency repair contingency, 100% of those funds are expended. The rekeying and replacement of hardware at all sites. We just recently completed a portion of that. Our own Jeff Stutzman was, excuse the term, he was key in making sure that all that got done. He is our unofficial official locksmith, if you will, and the newest addition to our maintenance team. He had been a utility worker here for years and has been handling all of our keys. And he did a really great job of integrating with the people to get that done at the adult school, here at the district office and at the David Avenue campus. And then the technology and infrastructure, again, 100% of that funding has been expended, and there's been quite a bit of wiring upgrades as far as common sets goes. Okay, so Series A year 2. For the last couple of presentations I did, the Robert Down playground was just renderings. There is a real picture of the real deal. Proud to say that we really pushed the contractor to get that done in time for the Butterfly Parade Day, and we got it open and the kids were all over it. Just absolute joy to see. And they're playing on it daily. Okay, so anyways, David Avenue driveway improvements 100% done. David Avenue playground structures 100% done, actually completed just a few weeks ago. And so your picture on the lower right is that, with kids all over it again, and they're just loving it. It's like a series of imitation boulders, rocks, ropes, all kinds of great things, and a new swing set. And I was there to take pictures today, and their kids were just everywhere on it. And it's just such a joy to see that. The old playground there, I'm sure you're aware, was pretty decrepit, and watching kids play on that was a bit frightening. So this is good stuff. Replacing the phone systems at David Avenue is 100% complete. The roof and gutters, unfortunately, is only 75% complete. We have the roofs on, the wood rot repairs done, but none of the gutters were completed. The sewer line replacement is about 75% complete. Our contractor advised the interim director to maybe wait on a certain portion of that. He thought it might not be needed. Unfortunately, since the school year started, we're there probably about every 2 weeks on clogging lines. So there's still an issue. It's going to have to be repaired. None of the exterior painting and dry rot work was done at David Avenue. Robert Down, again, the exterior painting and wood rot was 100% complete. That looks beautiful. Playground's done, as I said. However, the VCT flooring on one wing has not been completed, and it needs it badly. So that's something we need to look to. Middle school, phone lines are in. Wood shop roof, former wood shop, I should say, is 75%. Again, gutters are omitted. We need to go after the gutters. Adult school, phone systems are in. Sewer lines 100% there. High school, the phone systems are in. And Forest Grove, rain gutters did not get done. So that's essentially what remains. There it all is in one pretty slide. This is the high school, the one building that got done at the high school with the wood rot repair roof system. And right now it's kind of the gym at the high school, the K&L wing. Looks really good. We'd like to make the rest of the campus look like that as soon as possible. So I don't know if you need me to go through this list again, but this is all those things that were zeros or partially complete are on this slide. I included it as, so it's some for the easy reference if you go back and look at the slides later. Okay. So what's next? Urgent items. This is a lovely picture of some of the rain gutters on the A wing of the high school. So this is commonplace throughout a couple of our campuses, and I don't think I would even call them gutters anymore. I'd call them risks. So it's something we need to put at the top of the list to get that done. But usually from a constructive perspective, I band roofs and gutters together. They kind of something that should happen at the same time. Okay, and then I have on that list another urgent item was the VCT flooring at Robert Down. It's in pretty bad shape, and we should definitely address it sooner than later. So reprioritizing projects. Why is this a concern of mine, and why do I want to kind of play with the order of business there? I have a couple photographs here. Those are both happen to be from the high school, and this is one. The top right picture is actually a supporting beam, and the termite damage is pretty bad. You could almost see right through that piece of wood. And then the lower picture is actually some lateral sheathing. That's what the roof is affixed to. And you can see there's clearly some water damage and wood rot going on there. So these hidden damages are things that are going to have real costs, and you can't put a new roof on something like that. So when I talk about the proper order of construction, we're going to have to take the roof off to repair the wood rot and then put the roof back on and the gutters. So that's why I see that we need to do certain things first before we can take care of the roof. So that's where the proper order of construction comes in. And then in cases like this, I really want to look at the structural integrity of that beam. If the termites have eaten that far through it, just we're going to have to replace that beam without a doubt. And then building envelope is a concept that we kind of need to wrap our heads around, the wrap around envelope. The building envelope is, your roof, your siding, it's what's weathers in the building, it's your windows, your doors. If the building envelope is, you need to kind of think of it as the first order of business. If your building envelope isn't there, everything inside is going to be uncomfortable or get destroyed by weather, wind, rain, whatever. So that's kind of what I want to move to the forefront. So economic concerns. I'm sure we've all watched the news. We've listened to the radio. We know what's going on. We've read the newspapers. Material costs are up a shocking 20 to 40%. Roofing alone is really off the chart. Roofing materials have gone up 334, almost 335 points this year. So essentially you're paying almost a third more for any roof you're going to put on. And that's unfortunate for us because our bond money is what it is. And I'd like to stretch it as far as possible. The cost of labor in just the last 12 months has gone up 5%. Of course, the Bureau of Labor Statistics ties CPI to prevailing wage rate increases. So we can anticipate those to be substantial in the coming year. Supply chain uncertainty. This seems to be a familiar topic with every presentation I do. We order things and we wait weeks and months for them. It really makes the maintenance and repairs pretty difficult campus-wide. And then qualified contractor availability. When we go out to bid and we try to publicly bid these projects, years ago when I was public bidding for the city on my former job, we would have hundreds of bidders. As we got closer, once COVID hit, we were getting, 1 or 2 or 3 bidders. So with the bidding pool drying up, then the competition isn't there. So we're going to have some challenges and we'll have to talk about that in the future. Just wanted you to be aware. I kind of have an example there. People are probably wondering why there's a picture of what appears to be a bridge that's unfinished. Kind of a touchy subject, but that's our San Francisco to Los Angeles train that, because of the unforeseen economic impact that has been sitting for 4 years now with not much work going on. And so the reason I'm wanting to take a close look at all these items and consider them is to make sure that we don't run into a similar fate. I want to make sure that we're able to continue to progress and make wise choices moving forward with how we spend the bond money. Okay, so now that concludes that portion, and I'm going to go on to a maintenance, operation, and transportation quarterly update. The way I do this is just kind of hit on each portion of my department. Transportation, we currently have 3 licensed drivers. They're drivers/utility workers. We no longer have any just drivers. All of our drivers, when they're not driving a bus, they're able to do custodial work, make deliveries, help out in the foods departments. They're, being utility people as well as drivers, they're more versatile, and we get more for our money when we hire people in that way. We have 1 driver in training who is also working the majority of his day working on grounds. We have 1 bus running fewer stops citywide for elementary, middle school age students only. 1 special education bus transporting 6 students per day. 1 special education student transported to a rendezvous point each day, goes to a school out of county. And currently no high school age students are being transported due, of course, to the bus driver shortage and the later start time required by Senate Bill 328. And again, we just don't have enough drivers to put 2 buses out on the road at the same time, and it's unfortunate. If I'm able to keep training bus drivers, then maybe in the future, yes. Okay, so grounds, we have 1 full-time ground employee for quite a bit of acreage. We have 1 full-time grounds employee that's currently out. And then we have that bus driver that's in training, which is assisting in grounds. So we're getting a little bit more done than we used to. We've got about, I'll call it 1.75 in grounds now instead of too. So there's 85 acres of wooded grounds, several sports fields and various types of planted areas that they're taking care of. And an effort is underway to start implementing our 12-year-old planting master plan. So we've got 2 areas cleared, one near the tennis courts, one outside here. And we're going to do a couple kind of experimental planting areas and see how well some of the suggested plants do. And just kind of start moving out one little square at a time. Okay, our custodial department, 14 custodial staff to clean over 333,000 square feet of building space. So that's a lot of space per each custodian. And of course, they have to clean up each associated eating area after each meal. We have had 2 custodians off and been relying heavily on substitute custodial staff. We currently had, well, up until a week ago, we had 2 custodial substitutes. We recently were able to go back out and had 1 person interested, and they're actually training tonight and tomorrow with Greg over at Robert at the middle school. Okay, what else? So maintenance, we have 4 full-time employees to perform all preventative and unscheduled maintenance for that same 330,000 square feet of building space. We've performed 359 work orders since the beginning of the school year, and we currently have 78 open work orders on the books. So that's quite a few work orders for a few months for just 4 employees. And then, of course, we have scheduled maintenance performed in-house and with the assistance of contractors. I would like to add that we're getting ready to schedule some pool maintenance. We just actually finally got some of the materials that I ordered. They came in yesterday, and we'll be changing out the filters media in the sand filters. So going to keep working on that pool to keep it open. So what's next? Coming soon, Measure D project reprioritization plan. So that's what we'll talk about next meeting. Any questions?
Thank you. Trustee Brian?
Oh, no questions necessarily. I appreciate how thoroughly you presented things, especially as you noted, it's like we have 85 acres of just, like you said, wooded grounds, right? So when we talk about, and I know it's come up in the last few meetings, and I get it, where it's like there's concern about we have downed trees that have been there for years, but I was just thinking about the district, and as I was talking with people this last weekend too, just about how much we have. That's a lot, and how difficult it is not only to pay for the people to deal with it, but to even find the people, as you so clearly demonstrated too. It's a huge task, and I know you're working towards it, and it's a really great presentation, and I know we'll get there. It's just going to take some time. So I appreciate the presentation and all the detail in there.
Thank you.
Trustee Carolyn?
Thank you, Frank. We did have a Measure D communications plan that was adopted. It's on file. It's pretty thorough. And it hasn't, one of the components was a monthly update, or was it quarterly or quarterly? Apologies. So we're a little past due on that. However, just even saying that here and asking you to prioritize communication versus spending your valuable time on the gutters that are see-through, it's hard for me to even bring that up. So what I was wondering is, your presentation was really great, and I could see that being the communication, fulfilling the communication kind of duty that we made to the public as a promise, kind of pushing that slideshow out. So would you be open to
Absolutely.
that? Okay, I think that would be wonderful, and you've already spent your time on it, so
Okay.
check off two check marks.
Appreciate that. It makes my life a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think it was well done and very digestible. So thank you. The other thing is, I'm going to save it. So that's it. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I like how your approach fits into a nice acronym of future.
Thank you.
I also appreciate how you prioritized everything, especially support beams that are being eaten up by our termites. It's certainly something that needs to be prioritized. And I was going to bring up the covering at Robert Down and Forest Grove, because I know that it was mentioned when some of our community members wanted to look at coverings over the picnic tables. It was suggested we looked at it during Measure D discussion, but after seeing the economic concerns, I don't know if it's the right time to bring it up, but I would ask the new board coming in to remember that that was a concern of our community members. And then I'm also grateful how you're using bus drivers / utility and hopefully like / crosswalk soon. But that's thank you very much. I appreciate the presentation.
I think,
Yeah.
Josh, would you like? Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to cover the shade canopies in the eating areas, we have not slated for that to be a part of Measure D, nor was it ever, as I recall. However, Director Anderson has already went and surveyed all of the sites, and we have some proposals that I'm reviewing with Director Anderson. And we are looking at some of those projects and using Capital Reserve Fund 40. So outside of Measure D, and again, we'll bring that to the board once we have a presentation ready. So
Oh, wonderful.
we're nearing that. We're nearing that, I believe, probably by December 15th.
Making steps towards it anyways.
Wonderful. Thank you. Public comment?
Great.
Anyone online? Nope.
Thank you,
Okay, great. Thank you, Director Anderson. Moving on to information discussion item B, annual disclosures of workers' compensation liability. Mr. Jordan.
I'm open for any questions, but essentially, as you can see in the attached, the net position is positive, so there's no action required. If we were in a negative net position, PGUSD as a member of MIRMA would have to make some sort of an action correction, but net position's positive, so this is just a formality.
Great. No comments from me. Trustee Brian.
No, I'm good.
Trustee Carolyn.
Just a procedural question. Why wasn't this on consent? Can it not be on consent or? I love the policy and procedure of things, so I'm curious about that part.
Yeah, it's an informational item per ed code.
Okay.
So there's no action required. So that's why we bring it forward as an information.
But it can't go on consent.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Public comment? Okay. Moving on. Information discussion C, future agenda items. Dr. Porras.
Thank you, Mr. President. I heard Healthy Kids Survey.
Yes. Yeah, I'd like to take a look at that just for us to see it in the future and just, I don't know if there's anything we can do about it. I don't know if it's just something that we're given and it's like, here it is, and you push this out. Or if we have, please, yes.
I think as Principal Roach is going to the podium also, we'll take a look at getting the board a copy of the survey so you can see what it looks like as well. That may be helpful for you and the interim, but go ahead.
Good evening, Sean Roach, proud principal of Pacific Grove Middle School. The process tends to be that notification happens at least 2 weeks, but it's best practice to do it at least 3 weeks out. That information tends to be sent. There's going to be a hard copy located in the office for parents to peruse, but you also send the link so that they can check it out as well. So they should have ample notice to review the survey.
Okay.
By the way, it is an incredibly important survey as well because it guides a lot of what we do on the sites.
Right. Thank you so much. All right.
Good evening, Sean Keller, principal at Robert Down. If you go to my October 27th Robert Down principal update, there's a copy of the survey you can review. It's attached.
Great. Thank you so much, Sean.
And Sean, is that a copy of the survey that the students receive?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll have that on the agenda for you for, do you want that for the next meeting? Is that put to, what meeting would you like that on?
You know, a few down the road, right? It's like we got, I'll get online and take a look at what is there, just to, and then I think as the new board comes on too, and we get comfortable with each other, I don't think we have to do it right away, so, but I'll take a look at. what's
William for
online, too.
February, how's that sound?
There you go. I like February.
And what would the item be? Just us reviewing the survey?
Yeah, we can do a presentation of it real quick, just so everyone, we haven't done one in a while, so do a quick presentation of what it is, what the state requirement looks like, and then take any public comment.
Okay, like informational item.
Mhm,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. I actually had one thing that I added to the list, and it would be something the board would need to decide on. I don't know if it would be policy, but Buck was mentioning the Diversify Your Narrative group and how they were talking about the Esalen people. And I have been to other public meetings where they do a land acknowledgement at the beginning of their meeting. And that might be something that we want to explore as a board. So do you know what I mean, Ralph?
Yeah, but I'm not sure how it would look for us, I guess. Do you want to just bring that up as a topic and then we'll?
Well, so an example, when a meeting is brought to order, there's a statement read that acknowledges that the land was at some point in the possession of earlier folks. So to do that as a common practice, I think that would either need to be adopted as policy or decided upon by the board. So that would be the item I'd like to have.
Okay, so perhaps we'll put it on as it would be under governance, so it'd be the board 9000s. So maybe just a topic on the board agenda, structure of the board agenda. Does that?
Yeah, because it would probably be read during like one of the disclaimers. Yeah. That's all I have.
Public comment?
Before you gavel us out, I just want to commend Dr. Rivera for the last 2 weeks now, running really sharp, concise, efficient meetings. And I know that we'll have you briefly at the next meeting before we have the turnover. But thank you so much. I think you've done a really remarkable job, and I'll cry during the next meeting when you leave. But thank you so much for running a great meeting.
Thank you. I
Here, here.
appreciate that.
Very nice.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Adjourn. Thank you. Oh, you guys are so sweet.
Did you gavel us out?
I did.
Oh, meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.